Hey, good morning. This is Diary of a Coach, episode 41. Yesterday, I had a crew from a particular TV station come to my office and they came to interview me about how personal development, can be used for culture and structure in an organization. So today I'm going to expand on that subject, discussing the four pillars of a strategy. Four pillars of a strategy. About 3-4 years ago, I had recorded an audiobook titled The Four Pillars of a Strategy, and I had extensively taught that subject in many fora. So today I'm going to shoot it in Diary of a Coach, Four Pillars of a Strategy. This is for everyone who runs a business, who intends to escalate and grow their business. So if you don't mind, spare me the next 8 to 10 minutes to share with you four pillars of a strategy. The first thing a good strategy must have is a business model. I have talked about this many times, that if you do not choose a business model intentionally, a business model will find you unintentionally. So if you are running any business, you must sit down and find a business model that works for you. How do I know a business model that works for me? Sometimes you need to benchmark against a business or a professional or a brand that looks like what you want. That is one way to find a business model that works for you. Sometimes you need to also look back at where you're coming from, the things you have done successfully. It may inform you on how your model would look like. But usually it's important to benchmark and study several businesses and articulate what works for you, then create a hybrid of multiple platforms. So if you study Tony Robbins, you study Dangote, you study Femi Otedola, or different business owners, then you find what works in different models and then you create your own model. So it's important to first determine what is my business model. When you determine your business model, it means that this is how I want to run my business. This is the methodology I want to use to run my business. When you have chosen a business model, the next logical thing to do is to define a culture in your own business. See, at every given point, there will be competition. At every given point, there will be people that are doing what you are doing, and people who will do what you are doing, and people who want to do what you're doing. So a culture means this is how I choose to do things in my business, irrespective of how anybody is doing it. This thing we call branding, this thing we call brands, this thing we call customer experience is actually the culture that they feel. So if you want to establish a nature for your brand, if you want to establish a taste for your brand, if you want to establish an experience for your brand, you by all means should define the operative word here is define a culture for your business. Because if you do not define a culture for your business, the business itself will create a culture that you may not want. If you have multiple people in your business as staff, each person doing it based on their own initiative, what that automatically means that everybody is introducing a culture that they understand by initiative. That creates a chaos for you in your business. So it's your necessary responsibility to define. Operative word is define what you want to be done, how you want it to be done in your business. That becomes your culture. Now, when you define your culture, the third thing to do is to create a structure that makes that culture come alive. It is one thing to say our culture here is mutual respect, our culture here is professionalism, our culture here is paying attention to details, our culture here is to follow up customers as soon as possible, blah 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 blah. Those are cultures you've defined. The structure is that if there must be mutual respect, what must happen? What are the consequences for making sure that people do it? If you say customer feedback or customer follow-up is a culture, what do you have in place to make it done? Do you have the machinery? Do you have the equipment? Do you have the methodology? Do you create a hierarchy? That's structure that makes the culture come alive. If culture will be effective, a structure must back it up. If not, you're just writing stories. You're just writing on paper. Culture cannot come alive when there is no structure to back it up. So structure in this context is machinery, infrastructure, people, skills, equipment, anything, even hierarchy that will make a culture come alive. Very, very important. And number 4, once you have defined your philosophy or business model, you have defined your culture, you have determined your structure, the next thing is to watch your operations. What is the operations? Operations simply means what should we be doing? When should we be doing it? Turnaround time for doing it. Who should be doing it? What's the frequency for doing it? And who should be checking that we're doing it how we should be doing it? So operation is like your check and balances. Knowing that we've defined a culture, we have provided a structure to make the culture work. Somebody and something somehow should ensure that we're doing what we said we were doing or we're going to do. That is operational. So operations is getting hands-on, making sure what was planned is being done. These are the 4 pillars that every good business must have. And this title has been taught for the last 5 years by me. And I am privileged that I can share this with you today. This is episode 41 of Diary of a Coach. And if this has made any sense to you, please share it. Thank you for listening and watching my video today. Thank you, Tayo, your team. I think this is the first time you're catching my live video. I love you. Thank you so much. Odusote, Chelsea, thank you. My boss in London, Usa, good to see you. Congratulations on your event. Malik, Dr. Malik, thank you for joining. Stella Nodi, thank you for joining. Deme, thank you for joining. Farida Sambo, thank you for joining my video. Please share my video if you don't mind, and have a wonderful Saturday. God bless you.